Hey, what's up, y'all? So I just wanted to take a second to show you guys how to draw an eye, which I thought could be a good addition to what you're working on. I'm going to start off with this green pencil, which is a 2B. I'm just going to keep this yellow one as an eraser just in case I need it. But when I'm starting off, first thing is you can always have a reference with you. So if you don't know how to draw, you could keep any kind of reference that you could look up on Google. So you could keep with you and just keep it on your side, or you could just kind of like watch this video and freestyle yourself to get it right. But the eye style that we're going to start off with is like a realistic human eye. So the first thing that we just want to consider when we're doing it is that the eye is like a ball, um, and that eyeball rests inside of a skull that's inside of somebody's head. So when we're doing this, we're going to add in a couple other things. The next spot is going to be the iris, which is this part of the eye where most of the color and pigmentation for people will be in here. And then inside of that is another one that kind of goes like this, which is called the iris. And that's where like the light goes inside and out of your eye. It expands and it contracts depending on like how much light is going into your eye, almost like a camera. So once you have this, you kind of have the beginnings of what looks like a drawing. But what we want to do next is add on a little bit more detail to it. So I'm going to start off by kind of going like this and kind of creating a hill which goes up and then over the eye and then down like that. And that's going to be like the upper eyelid. And then we're going to do the same thing on the bottom, which is going to go down and kind of wrap around and underneath this and then come back up. It kind of ends right there. And most of these are small. They don't extend this long. This is just more for extra, but you can kind of just erase that part and erase that. And this is almost like the beginnings of your eye. You can kind of see some of the details that are happening in there. But now what I'm going to do is just kind of like add more to it. So first thing I'm going to do is add the rest of the eyelid on top of this, which is just me making this hill shape going right above and down again. And I'm doing the same thing for the bottom where it's going around and down again. It's almost like a hill and like a basin. This part right here closes and these almost like meet each other a little bit. So once you have this is kind of like the beginnings of your eye. The next thing I would do is to add a little bit more color into the iris. You can just like lightly shade in there if you want to. Now, there's very specific ways that you could color the iris. If you want to get detail, you could look up pictures of an iris and you could see some really, really high like quality details in there. So it really depends on what you're trying to do. But for this eye, I'm just going to keep it simple. And I'm just going to keep it somewhat like that. Now, the one thing to notice too is depending on what the eyelids are doing, it'll change the um, facial expression. So if I have my eyelids really wide and there's a lot of space here and here, it'll look like my person is surprised or my character is surprised. But if I change this and I make the eyelids a little lower, watch the difference. So I'm going to erase my top lid. Now I'm going to make my top lid actually come over the eye a little bit more. When that top lid comes over the eye, it changes the whole expression of the actual person that I'm doing. So remember how the eyelids can make a difference if they're like, or the eyes are showing a little bit more white, it'll be slightly different than kind of not having it there. Then you can go in and add more details if you need to. And at any point, if you're lost, you could always go back to like your reference images on Google. And that's kind of like the basics. So just a quick recap. I'm just going to do the shapes one more time. You start off with the circle. Inside that circle, you're going to draw the iris. And then you're going to draw the pupil. And the pupil is that black hole where the light goes in. And then the iris is what has color. So this usually is a color. It's shaded a little bit darker than that middle part. And then we're going to do kind of like these hill shapes going up and down and a basin shape going down and around like that. So sometimes I'll make a line straight through and we're just making it go up and then over and down, down, over, and up. And these eyelids will probably change depending on who or what you're drawing, from humans to non-humans, like animals and other creatures, I guess. But now I'm just going to take my eraser. We can go back and just clean it up a little bit. Right now my lines feel a little jagged and rough. So at some point I can go back and just clean them up. And I can press down if I want to, just to make my lines darker. I usually like to do this very lightly. And there you have it. And the last thing to put in are just some eyelashes. With the eyelashes, they're coming out from underneath the eyelid. Some people's eyelashes are big and some people have small ones. But when I'm doing this, I think about doing this motion that's like curving up like this, or it could be curving down. But I try to do that over and over again to get underneath this. And if you mess up at this part, just get your eraser, erase it, and try it one more time. And it takes a little bit of practice, but eventually you'll get it. If you want your person to have really long eyelashes, you can do these really long strokes, but try not to go too crazy with it. You can also shape the eyelashes by just erasing them a little bit, and making them longer at certain parts and shorter at other parts. So that's just a quick version of my eye. Next one, I'll show you guys how to do two eyes on the same page.